So I suppose I should tell you about what we're doing today, shouldn't I? Now I'm back on my mat today because we're having another lie down, okay? Today we are looking at mobility. And primarily it's spinal mobility that we're going to be looking at because it's women during midlife who are most common to sort of experience back problems, back pain, stiffness around sort of midlife, around that time of our lives. So that's what I thought we'd focus a little bit on today. But I'm also going to show you a little technique that you can do to help you engage those deep core abdominal muscles, because I get asked for that an awful lot. How do I strengthen my tummy muscles? And ladies who have got problems with their back are often referred to me from physios or doctors who said you need to strengthen your core to help support your back. So I teach that, well, I teach it in every class. So I'm going to show you a really simple technique today that you can get started with. It is so simple, okay, but we're going to do a little bit of that today. I'm going to show you how to do it. So I hope you're going to be taking part with me. You're not going to just sit there or you will want. You've already got your mat out, haven't you? I hope you have. So you need your mat. You will need a towel to support your head when we come down to the mat, and I've got my yoga block, but a cushion is fine, or another towel, okay, you'll need this morning, okay, so we'll use those in a little while. So I see some more people are hopping on, so good morning. If you are joining me, don't forget to say hello in the comments so I know that you're here with me. Right, let's take a breath. I've got lots to tell you this morning. I'll tell you some now, I'll tell you some at the end, so bombarding you all before we start. So let me start off by just recapping what we have done this week and why we've been doing what we have been doing. So we've been working on some aspects of our health and fitness this week. So we've been looking at flexibility, we've been looking at strength and balance, and today we're working more on mobility. And these are just 4 areas. There are others, but these are just 4 areas that we need to really focus on when we hit that menopausal age, midlife and beyond. Because if we are looking to stay active and mobile in our later years, in our 70s and our 80s, we need to start thinking about doing something now. So flexibility is really important. It helps us to move easier. It will help you to reach down and pick something up off the floor. But as I touched on a little bit on Tuesday at the workshop, yes, stretching and lengthening out the body, but the stretches themselves, if you do it in a certain way, if you just take a sort of 5 or 10 minutes quiet time to yourself, you can make those stretches a really relaxing experience. And when we're rushing about every day, because we've all got busy lifestyles, sometimes we just don't take the time to stop, even if it is just for 5 minutes. But if we just stop and just focus on some gentle stretching, it just helps us to calm our minds, calm our bodies. It just helps to take the focus off the busyness of the day and just to check in with how we're feeling. You might, like we did on Tuesday, I asked you to do that, just to check in at how you were feeling at the beginning, to be aware of the tightness and tension that you might be holding on to in your body. And then after you've done a short session, just check in again and see how you feel. Do you feel more relaxed? Do the muscles feel more relaxed? Can you feel that tension has just started to melt away? And sometimes when things are getting really hectic at home or at work, we just need that time. We just need 5 or 10 minutes just to switch off. And we don't do it. We often don't do it. As women, we don't do it because we are so busy doing everything else. We don't make ourselves priority. But all you need is 5 minutes, just a bit of gentle stretching, even if it's just some gentle neck stretches, some deep breathing, can sometimes make all the difference. So that's one of the things that we can do to help us during the stage of our life. And a big one that is going to help us is strengthening our bodies, and that's what we did yesterday. I only did a little short session yesterday, and I made it quite simple, but you can make it much more challenging. Okay, so we just did some simple strengthening exercises that were suitable for everyone. But if you're sort of more experienced with Pilates, you may have found that was maybe a little bit too easy and you wanted something more challenging. Well, don't worry. Pilates is suitable for whatever level. you're at the moment. That's why I love it so much. It is great if you are just starting out with Pilates and you want something simple like we did yesterday, or you've been doing it for a few years and you really want to challenge yourself and make yourself stronger throughout your whole body, not just the core, not just the arms and the legs and isolated areas, but the whole of the body. We can do that as well. I can really challenge you to work your body. Strength is really important. It's what promotes our longevity. It keeps us going. So if you enjoy those active holidays, you like to go out exploring, lots of walking like I do, and you want to keep doing that as you get older, you need to work on your strength, because strong muscles keep us moving, but don't forget it also have a positive impact on your bone health as well. So we want to not only strengthen muscles, but strengthen our bones as well, because if you remember from yesterday, we lose muscle mass, we lose bone density as we get a bit older. So we want to try and at least maintain that, if not help to improve it a little bit. And today we're looking at mobility. Spinal mobility in particular, okay, because I'm sure everyone in this group, I know I do as well. If I've had a break from Pilates, I didn't do anything last week. I had a week off, and I wasn't relaxed at all. I spent a lot of time watching TV with the kids, feet up in front of the sofa on an evening, and I woke up one morning. I think it was Sunday or Monday, I can't remember, and I felt quite stiff in my back. It's just how I've been sitting, and I hadn't been moving much. I just wanted a complete break from everything, which we do sometimes, don't we? And you get that stiffness, don't you? The problem is, if we don't move enough, if we don't keep moving regularly, that stiffness becomes a regular thing. I mean, once I got up and I moved about after an hour, it had all gone. But if we are consistently not moving our bodies, that stiffness gets worse. It becomes tight. The muscles shorten. We get muscular imbalances in our body, which puts stress and strain on the joints. And that's when we start to get those aches and those pains. And for a lot of women, it manifests itself in lower back, okay? Some women get it in their neck and shoulders, like me. I get it all up here, okay? But for a lot of women, they get it in the lower backs. So that is why we are doing spinal mobility today. We're going to get the oil can out. We're going to oil those joints in our spine. So if you are feeling any stiffness today, then hopefully at the end of the session, things will feel a little looser. Just remember, if you haven't done any of these exercises before, to take it easy. Don't push yourself too much. And if you need to take a break, take a break. So we're going to start in 1 minute. But there's just one more thing I'm going to tell you, because I've touched a lot on this week about exercise benefit to make us move better. And I touched a little bit on Tuesday about how exercise can make us feel better in ourselves. But don't forget, there are lots of other health benefits to moving your body, things that I haven't talked about, and I'm just going to mention briefly now. There are lots of things that will benefit from regular movements. Other health conditions such as heart disease, which can be quite high in women around midlife. I've had to write them down so I don't forget them. Diabetes is another one. A cancer risk, it will help you to reduce your risk. And I've just seen, just this week actually, I think there's a new study out about how regular exercise, regular physical activity can help to cut your risk of breast cancer, which I think we've already known. But there's just been a new study out, which I haven't had a chance to read yet, but I think it's something that I will share with you once I've had a chance to look at it myself. And also, for our mental health, anxiety, depression is quite high in women during midlife. And of course, it can also help to ward off things like dementia and Alzheimer's as well. So knowing all of that, all of the benefits that regular movements can give you, why don't we move more than we do? We should all be moving more. We've got some fantastic benefits that we can gain from moving our body more. So this week, I hope you've really taken something from this workshop, some exercises that you're going to carry on doing, or just some little tips and things that I've mentioned that you found quite useful and just made you think about how much movement you actually do on a day-to-day basis. Remember, you don't have to do a lot. You need to rethink about how you exercise. It's very different when we get to this age to how we were in our 20s. You know, I used to do aerobics classes. I used to be down the gym a couple of times a week. We don't need to do that now. we need to remember that consistency plays a really important part in maintaining good movements. So even if it's only 2 or 3 times a week that you do something, it just needs to be 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes it doesn't need to be much to make a big difference in your life. Remember that movement, regular movements, is life enhancing and life extending. We're going to get started. I'm going to get all my bits and pieces out now, okay? So, are we ready to make a start? If you've just joined me while I've just been talking, then please say hello. Just drop hello in the comments below. I'd like to know who is with me. I don't need that yet, do I? I want that one. Okay. So, hopefully you've enjoyed these workshops this week. And if you have, stay to the end, because I just want to share with you a little bit more about how you can carry on doing Pilates at home. That sort of hopefully will fit in with your lifestyle. You can do it at a time that suits you then, can't it? But especially if you want to do a little bit more with me, I'm going to tell you how you can become a strong and supple member. I've got some little offers for anyone who wants to do a little bit more with me. So stay to the end, and I'll just briefly share that with you. But if you can't stay to the end, there is a link above the video. If you click on that, it'll tell you all about it anyway. It's time to get started, I think. So I'm just checking what we're doing so I don't forget. I'm going to lie down. I was trying to lie down there, but we're not going to lie down. Okay, so you've got your hand held. Okay, now we're going to come into a different position today. We're going to come into an all fours position. Okay, now a lot of ladies have trouble with their wrists. They find it's difficult to come into this position. Okay, I'm one of them. I've got a funny wrist, so I find it quite difficult to get my hand flat and weight bear through it. So what I tend to do is I use my towel to roll it up, and everybody does this. I teach most people do it. Okay, it just makes it easier on the wrists. And then you roll the towel up. You put the heel of your hand on the towel rather than the fingers. Okay, you've got to have the heel of your hand on the towel, and that takes a little bit of pressure out of the wrist, so it makes it a bit more comfortable when you're in this position. Now, a lot of ladies also have problems with their knees. They can't kneel for very long, or you might just find it uncomfortable. Okay, especially if you've got a thin mat, or maybe you're not even using a mat. Maybe you're on the carpet. Okay. Get another towel. If you've got one handy, fold it up and kneel on it, so you've got a bit of extra cushion. Sometimes that can help quite a bit. Are we ready to start? So this is our all fours position. So can you see my back? Take a look at my back before you start, okay? It's fairly straight. I don't know if you can see, but I'm trying to sort of show you that there's a little dip in the lower back there, just a very slight dip. That's what I'm looking for. That puts my spine in a nice natural position. So you've just got to be careful that you're not like this on the mat, because the shoulders come up, it's uncomfortable on the shoulders and in the neck, and you're putting strain through the lower back. So we want to draw the shoulders down. We want to flatten out the back. In a way, I'd rather you have a flatter back. Okay, I'd rather it be more like that than like that. Okay, so just be aware of how your back is, and then you want your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Make sure your knees aren't here. That makes it hard to exercise then. Okay, so knees under the hips. Okay. First mobility exercise is called the cat. You might want to watch the first one and then join in on the second one. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So we're going to tilt the pelvis, and we're going to tuck the tailbone under. And then as I do that, I'm going to tuck my head under as well. And can you see I'm sort of arching my back up? I'm not forcing it. Okay, and we're going to come all the way back to that nice starting position. Ready to do it again. You're going to join in with me this time? Let's have a little go. So we're going to tuck the tailbone under, and then we'll start to tuck the head under as well. We're arching the back up and over, and then we're going to come all the way back down to that starting position, and then we'll do it again. So this is a really nice exercise. You might feel some tightness in your back as you're doing this, okay? But the more you do it, you'll start to feel that tightness sort of easing a little bit, and it'll start to disappear, okay? So it's giving us a nice little stretch, but it's also mobilizing all those little joints that we've got in our spine. I'm going to do it one more time. So we're going to tuck under, arch the back up, not forcing it, and then come all the way back down. Okay, now if you need to sit back at this point, you can give the wrists a little roll around, that always helps. We'll do one more in this position, okay? We're going to do a little exercise called threading the needle. So again, this is for the spine, moving it in a different way. This time we're going to try and encourage a little bit of rotation through the spine. Again, if it's an exercise you haven't done before, be aware of not forcing the movement. Just reach as far as you can on this one. Don't take it too far. So again, you might want to watch the first one and then join in on the second one, okay? So we're going to reach one hand through the middle, through the gap there, okay? So my supporting arm, I'm just going to bend it a touch, and then I'm going to reach through. So I'm keeping my hand nice and close to the floor, and I'm just going to reach as far as I can. Again, if I feel any tightness or anything in my back, I'm just going to stop. I'm not going to take it any further. And then we're going to come back. And then we're going to switch hands and do it on the other side. Okay, so you can join in if you want to on this one. So again, I feed that hand through the middle. I bend the supporting arm a little bit. I reach as far as is comfortable. Don't want to overreach. And then I bring the hand back onto the mat. And then we do it again. So we reach through the middle. So this is a really nice exercise. It gives you a really nice stretch through the upper part of the back, this one does. But it focuses on rotating the spine, which we don't really do that much, okay? Not in a controlled way, because in being on our hands and knees, it sort of helps to fix the pelvis a little bit. So we've got no movements through the pelvis, or very little, and then it allows us to create a bit more rotation through the spine. Okay, we'll bring two hands back onto the mat. We'll have a little shell stretch. So for this one, I'm just going to sit back towards my feet and reach my arms forward. So we get a nice little stretch all the way down the length of the spine. And then we can bring ourselves back up to sitting. Wonderful. Time to change position, I think. Okay, so this time we'll have a little lie down. So I'm going to take my towel. That's going to support my head. Okay, and if you've got your support, keep that handy because we're going to use that in a second. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to set yourself up on the mat in a way that will engage and start working these core abdominal muscles, because that's what a lot of women ask me for, is how can I strengthen these core muscles? I've been told I need to strengthen these core muscles. How do I do it? Because if we've got strong core muscles, it does help to support the back. Because not only are we working these muscles, we're working the lower back muscles as well, and these muscles in the back are actually quite small. So when you work your core effectively, it's like putting on a corset. It strengthens you all the way around, so you're nicely supported. And it's so easy to do this, okay? Oh, I'll move that up there for a second. So we're going to come down onto the mat. And you can see I've got my knees bent, I've got my feet and knees about hip width apart, arms are just down by the side, okay? Now, when you are lying on your mat, you need to find, well, I always call it a neutral position. So this neutral position is the position that your spine naturally wants to be in. So if you've seen anatomy pictures of the spine, you'll know that there are curves in the spine, and there's a nice little curve just in the lower part of the back. And we want to maintain that natural curve as much as we can when we're exercising. So when you're lying on the mat, okay, or we can do it now, can't we? You're lying on the mat, okay, I want you to get one hand, without moving, I want you to see how far it will go under your waist. And I guarantee for most women who do it, it goes right the way through. Okay, so if it goes right the way through, you're too arched. You're arching that back. Okay, so what you need is you just need to flatten it a touch, very gently. Okay, so you're just going to flatten your lower back into the mat. And you don't want it completely flat. You just want that natural curve that you see on those anatomy pictures. Okay, a very slight curve. Okay, so if you use your hand again, you want to try and slide your hand under, but this time hopefully it won't go through. You should just be able to get tops of the fingers through, and then that's far enough. Okay, and it should, well, I find it's quite a comfortable position to be in. Okay, some ladies find it's a bit tricky to get into that position for a little while until they get used to it, often because there could be some tight spots around the hips, around the pelvis, that make it uncomfortable to get into that position. But over time, it's quite comfortable getting into this position because it's the position that your body naturally wants to be in. So this is, I'm going to call it our neutral position, okay? If you can stay in this neutral position, what is happening is the abdominal muscles are working. Those, not the superficial ones that sit on the top, but the deep abdominal muscles underneath. Okay, they are having to work to maintain this neutral position. If you went back to that comfy position that maybe you got to when you came on the mat first and you had that curve under your mat, the muscles aren't working now. Okay, but if you put your spine into a position that it's not used to being in, the muscles have got to work to maintain that position. You know when they're not working because you slip back and you get the arch again, okay? So if you can just think about maintaining that neutral position, you know those abdominal muscles are working. Even if it's only a little bit, something is going on as long as you stay in that position. Now, I think what we'll do is, I was going to do an exercise, but I think I'll do that in a second. I think I'll do this other one first. You need your supports. If you haven't got one, don't worry. You can, I'll show you a different way to do it in a second. But if you've got a cushion or a spare towel, what you're going to do is you're going to pop it between your knees. Mine's only a couple of inches thick, okay? Pop it between your knees and bring your feet together, okay? And then we'll have the arms out to the side. If you haven't got a support, just bring the feet and knees together, okay? That'll be fine, okay? So I've got my support there. I'm just going to hold on to it. I'm not going to squeeze it. It's just a light bit of pressure to keep it in position. Arms are out to the side. So we're going to do knees from side to side. We're not going to take them all to the floor. So if I show you on the first one, I'm just going to take the knees over. So they're just going about halfway to the floor, somewhere there, no more than that. And then if you bring them all the way back up to the top again. And as I come back to the top, I'm going to remember to come back to that nice neutral position. So I've got that little curve in my lower back again. And then we go the other way. So if you want to join in with me this time, over we go. Sending the knees over, just about halfway to the floor. We're not going to send them all the way down. And then we'll just bring them all the way back up. So we want to work nice and steady. Nice and controlled. Off we go again. Okay. So it's a nice controlled movement for the lower back. You want to go nice and slow and steady, especially if you've got any niggly aches and pains in your lower back, any stiffness. You want to be mindful of how you're moving. Okay. So we'll work nice and slowly. Okay. And then hopefully you'll find that that's okay. And even if you can't take the knees over quite as far as I am, that's okay as well. You can just take them over a little bit. I think we'll make it our last one. So this is a nice one. Again, it's mobilizing the lower back in particular. This one is working up into the middle of the back a little bit. And as we come back and we finish, we're going to bring ourselves back to that neutral position again. I'm going to move that away. Okay, one more exercise in this position. I'll show you this one before you start if you want to. I'll demo it again for you. This exercise is called the shoulder bridge. I've got my feet and knees hip width apart again now. I am back in my neutral position. And this is a fantastic exercise at mobilizing the spine, but it also works your glutes, your bum, okay, and your bonus, okay. So you may have done it before because it is a really common exercise, but it's a really good one for the spine. So let me show you what you're going to do. Imagine your spine is like a piece of sellotape stuck to the floor. You're going to start at the bottom of your spine with that tailbone, and you're going to peel it up. So you're going to peel the sellotape up off the mat until as high as you can go, or until you're up on the shoulder blades like I am, and we've finished in a nice straight line from the knees to the shoulders. Don't need to go any higher. And then you've got to come back down, and as you come back down, you're going to stick the sellotape back down onto the mat. So you're not pulling the sellotape off all in one go and sticking it back down all in one go. You've got to peel it off the floor, and that's what you're doing with your spine. So if we have a little go now and we start peeling that sellotape off, it's like peeling your spine bone by bone off the mat until you get to the top, And then when you come back down, you've got to stick the spine down, bone by bone again, just like you're sticking your sellotape down bit by bit, back down onto the mat. And when you get to the end, you're going to finish in that neutral position. It's really easy to arch that back at the end and then you're just left with this big gap again. But try and finish in that neutral position. Here we go again. So we peel the sellotape up off the mat. And if you really want to work these glutes, the muscles in your bum, give your bum a nice big squeeze, okay? And then we stick the sellotape back down, all the way down. I'm just going to do one more, okay? We'll do it one more time. Again, nice and controlled as we peel the spine. Squeeze your bum. If you squeeze your bum, it helps any cramping that you might be experiencing in the back of the legs there. Okay, and then we come down, and we're going to finish in that neutral position. We're going to finish with that little curve in the lower part of the back. Wonderful. Little stretch to finish with. Stretch out the lower back. Hug both knees into the chest. That's quite a nice one to finish with. Wonderful. Okay, I think we'll do a little bit more stretching just to finish off with. So we're going to roll onto our sides. We're going to push ourselves back up. Now, this time, I'm going to come into a high kneeling position. If you don't feel that comfortable on your knees, then you can do this in standing. Just come up to standing. That's fine. Okay. So we're going to stretch out the side of the waist a little bit, or we'll do a little bit more rotation actually first. Okay. But we'll have a little stretch as well, because we can quite often get tightness just sort of into the waist a little bit. So if you're standing, that's fine. I'm just doing it like this on the knees. Rotation. So we've already done a little bit of this today, but have a little go at this one, because this exercise will really give you a good sense of how much movement, how much rotational movement you've got through your spine. I want you to imagine now that you are stuck in a block of concrete from your waist down. You can't move, okay? From your waist down, no movement, okay? I want you to bring your hands together and place your thumbs on your breastbone, okay? And then what I want you to do is twist. You're going to rotate from the waist, and you're going to rotate round to the side, and you're not going to force it, are you? Okay, go nice and gentle. Okay, when you feel like you can't go any further, that's far enough. Come back around to the centre. And because you're stuck in that block of concrete, your pelvis is completely still. So I'm going to go around the other way. Now you can probably notice I haven't got that much rotation. When I do this exercise, I can never seem to rotate that much. Okay. So we come back to centre. So it doesn't matter if you can't rotate much. That's okay, because we can improve that. Okay, the more rotation exercises that we do, the more flexibility exercises that we do, the more stretching that we do, we can help to improve that rotation a little bit. Okay, come back to centre. Hands on the hips. Let's stretch out the side of the body into the waist a little bit. So you're going to take one arm up and over the top, have a nice little stretch over to the side, and then bring that arm all the way back down. And we send the other arm up and over the top. Nice little stretch. And then bring it back down. We'll do a couple more because I quite like this one. So you're getting that nice stretch all the way down the side of the body and into your waist. Here we go. Last one. That's it. Wonderful. And there we go. We are all done again. So that's gone quick, hasn't it, this morning again, I think. So that is our final session today then inside the group. Don't forget, tomorrow it's the Zoom session. Okay, the details are pinned to the top of the page. If you want to join me for that, just request the Zoom links. So I hope you found today's session beneficial. There were some different exercises in there today to what we've done earlier on in the week, particularly that all fours position, maybe a position that you don't often work from. So yes, I wanted to give you some different positions to try and work from, but they all had the one thing in common, and that was to help you improve the mobility and the movement that you have in your spine. And of course, you've got that little exercise that you can check now when you're lying on the floor to make sure you're in that neutral position and you're working those core abdominal muscles. There is a lot more to know on how to engage the core, but just to keep it nice and simple for you today, it's just the easiest way I could think of to get you started with starting to work those core abdominal muscles. So we've covered quite a bit this week in our workshop. So we've covered flexibility, strength, balance, mobility, spinal mobility today. So I certainly hope that you have taken something away from this week, even if it's just a couple of exercises that you felt really good when you did them, and you just go away and you do those every day from now on. That will be fantastic. But for those of you that have really enjoyed it and you've just started to realize the benefit of moving regularly, remember you haven't got to do really long sessions if you haven't got the time for it. Consistency is key. So it's just having a regular movement practice a couple of times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, whatever fits in your lifestyle, whatever works for you. You can keep them nice and short, 5 or 10 minutes, and if you've got time, you can do something a little bit longer. But it's doing it on a regular basis, which is really important. And don't forget, it's the type of exercise that you do when you reach menopause, midlife, and beyond that is important. Yes, cardiovascular fitness is important, and I do teach cardio Pilates on occasions, but there are other elements that we really need to be aware of, and the big one for me is strength, because a lot of women don't realise how important maintaining strength is as you reach midlife. A lot of women still associate being strong with lifting heavy weights and spending hours in the gym. But you don't need to do it like that. If you remember yesterday, I was just using some tins out the kitchen cupboards. You've seen me use the resistance bands. I haven't got one with me today, but you know what I mean, don't you? That stretchy bands. Even your own body weight, as long as you're doing the right type of exercises and you're doing it on a regular basis, you will get benefit from them. So if you've enjoyed what you've done with me today, maybe now you're at that point where it's made you realise that you need to do some more exercise. You need to be to move more. You need to focus on different aspects of the fitness that you've already done, that you already do. Maybe you don't do much strength exercise. Maybe you don't do any stretching. So if you're at that point where you would like to do a little bit more and you'd like to do some more with me, that would be amazing, because I am always here to support women and get everybody moving as much as possible. So above this video there is a link to become a strong and supple member. And if you become a member this week, I have got some little bonuses and some special offers for you. So the first thing that I'm going to offer you, I offer for everyone who becomes a member, is I'll write you out your own personalised Pilates workout plan. So if you've got a particular problem, so for example, we'll use today, you've got a problem with your back, it could just be stiffness, I will write that plan out specifically for you to tackle that stiffness and that tightness that you feel in your back. That women find that really helps them, because it gives them somewhere to start. The other thing that is available for members is a couple of my courses that aren't available anywhere else. So if you like the stretching side, then you'll want to see the Flexible and Free stretching program. That's a 4-week course that stretches every part of the body. If you feel like you don't stand up and you don't sit up tall enough, then you can also try out the posture course that is in there as well. Now, for anyone who wants to become a member in the next week, you can also get a free month of the membership as well. So if you want to read more about it, I won't say any more about it, I'll let you have a read. So the link is above this video. Click on there, have a little read, and if you've got any questions, just get in touch. Drop me a comment in the group, or I know some of you got my emails. You've been having my emails, haven't you? So you can just reply to one of those. I'm going to leave it for today. I just want to remind you of one thing that I mentioned earlier, of how important it is to move your body on a regular basis. Remember that exercise is life extending and life enhancing. So why wouldn't you want to do it? I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.